It's got to be a mistake, Why would there be a tornado in November?
It's right behind me and it's headed right for the house. And then picked up from behind us. The blowing came from our back.
And it just picked my house up and my stuff started flying.
As soon as it hit, just kind of sucked her away and he couldn't hang on to her.
And he said, I tried so hard to save Mom.
From the Weather Channel, this is Storm Stories with meteorologist Jim Cantore.
Dozens of tornadoes tear across Iowa every year. By November, people here start worrying about blizzards, not twisters. Tornado season typically runs from March through June. And since 1950, only 23 tornadoes have been recorded in the state during the month of November. But on November 12, 2005, a pair of late-season tornadoes would forever change the lives of some Iowans. 55-year-old Larry Runyon is a maintenance supervisor for his town of Stratford. Among his duties is the job of storm spotter.
It was a warm day. We had rain throughout the morning, and then about the middle of the afternoon is when it really started showing thunderheads and clouds and everything. And that's when more counties and towns were put on the watch and warning area.
Woodward, Iowa, population 1,200. Just 30 miles south of Stratford, the Nance family is also keeping an eye on the weather.
It just looked like some clouds hanging down, off in the distance you see it raining.
3 blocks away, 47-year-old Jackie Seaman notices how unusually warm it is, just 12 days before Thanksgiving.
It's not usually 70 in November. And I remember thinking, I wish I didn't have to work tonight because it's such a nice day.
Jackie would prefer to stay outside with her dogs, Wookie and Schnoodle, but she needs to get some rest before beginning her night shift job as a home health care nurse in nearby Des Moines.
I watched some TV and played with my dogs, and I got ready to go to bed.
4:05 p.m. Back at the Nance home, Russell is watching television and his son Jeremiah is on his computer when the phone rings. It's Russell's wife Vicki calling from her job at a nearby convenience store. She has surprising news of a possible tornado in the area.
It's got to be a mistake, Why would there be a tornado in November? Then I flipped over to regular TV to watch the news, and there was a tornado watch.
Jeremiah gets up from his computer and looks out the window. What he sees makes him think his mother may be right about a tornado.
It just looked like something nasty was happening, so.
4:30 p.m. Jeremiah's younger brother Doug lives across the street with his wife and daughters. He too is alarmed by what he sees outside and rushes to tell family members.
The sky was real dark and just a loud, whirring sound in the air, real loud, like a freight train.
Doug came in and said, "There's a freight train! It sounds like a freight train!"
Doug and his dad head outside. Jeremiah runs to his room.
He was really excited because he'd always wanted to go chase tornadoes when there was a storm. The first thing he did was grab the camera and bring it outside to videotape it.
Jeremiah has been fascinated by weather ever since he was a little boy. When he was 5, a tornado nearly ripped apart his family's home.
I felt the house shake, and I wasn't crying. I was just dumbfounded, and I was hooked. I was hooked on all storms, actually.
"4:35 p.m. Down the street, Jackie Seaman is trying to sleep. Her doors and windows are closed. She doesn't hear the town's storm siren.
We don't hear it very well down there. It's just almost too far.
But she hears something else and it keeps her awake.
I kept hearing thunder, and I thought, oh, that was really odd because I knew it had been really, really warm and sunny when I'd laid down.
Out in his front yard, Jeremiah searches the ominous sky through the viewfinder of his video camera.
The tornado warning is going off.
Then he sees it. 2 miles away across a field, a faint funnel drops from the sky. Its wind speed is barely 70 miles an hour. Jeremiah is excited to be capturing the twister on tape.
Coming right at us. You should have saw it come down. Right there. Me, that was great, honestly. I might have to take up skydiving. Well, we watched it come down, but it's not moving that fast, so... Oh.
Jeremiah's younger brother Doug takes the tornado more seriously. He sprints to his apartment and moves his wife Beth and daughters 8-month-old Chloe and 4-year-old Jade across the street to his parents' basement. Then he heads back outside to check on his dad and brother. Neither of them feels threatened by the tornado.
Most tornadoes you think of as a funnel. You know, very defined, looks like a top. This one just looked like a huge dirt devil.
It looked like it was going to go back up. And then, nope. It's going to go right back up. Nope, here it comes.
In fact, the twister is gaining strength.
Here it comes.
Gotta get it on film.
And it appears to change course.
It's starting to rotate more.
Directly toward the Nance's home.
When it started coming toward us and it hit a house in the country and started kicking up some debris, then we knew we were in trouble.
What began as a dust cloud has turned into an F2 monster with wind speeds estimated up to 150 miles an hour. For a would-be storm chaser like Jeremiah Nance, it's a thrilling sight.
Get in! Come on! Let's go! Let's go!
Jeremiah's brother Doug darts into his parents' basement to be with his wife and daughters. He assumes his father and brother are close behind, but when he turns around, they're nowhere in sight.
So I'm thinking, worst possible thing. I didn't know if they got hit by debris or sucked up in the tornado or something.
To Doug's brother and father, the approaching twister seems more fascinating than dangerous.
Well, my youngest was already in the basement. My oldest was on the porch. I was the only one standing out where I shouldn't have been.
As he's walking up with the thing just barreling down his back, he says, "No, that's a freight train."
Granted, I need to say it's not the brightest thing to do, and I probably wouldn't do it again.
The tornado is bearing down on them. The danger is very real.
And back in my mind, I think I was probably making sure that it wasn't going to hit us.
Oh, there's the roof! Roof!
Get in the house.
Yeah, get on there. Hurry!
With the camera still rolling, Russell pulls Jeremiah into their home.
At some point when we went inside the front door there, and he said, everybody downstairs now. I started to speak, but I didn't finish, and I stepped back outside, and that's when it turned.
The Nance's house is spared. Jeremiah watches as the funnel veers away. Then...
Oh, my God! Oh, my God! They just flipped how it works.
just down the block, the twister flattens a neighbor's home. The tornado is just a few hundred yards from Jackie Seaman's house and closing fast.
But then I heard this thunder, and it just kept going and going and going, and I thought, that is the longest thunder I've ever heard.
With video camera in hand, Jeremiah Nance is chasing the tornado right toward Jackie's home.
And that's where it just started annihilating everything.
November 12th, 2005, Woodward, Iowa. Would-be storm chaser Jeremiah Nance is videotaping an F2 tornado. It narrowly missed his home, but is roaring through his neighborhood, destroying everything in its path.
Oh my God, look at that house is gone! In the street! Oh my God!
Jackie Seaman is in bed when it slams into her home.
I felt my house shake first, but I heard this big boom, and I thought my furnace blew up. And then everything just went. I thought everything was just crashing in on me.
She hadn't heard any tornado warning sirens and has no idea what's happening.
And it just picked my house up, and my stuff started flying. My dresser just fell on me, and drawers were falling out on me, and I couldn't get it picked up. And my dogs ran under the bed, and I just kept saying, "Oh my God, oh my God."
Then, almost as quickly as it began, the noise ends.
I crawled under my bed, trying to get my dogs out because I was so afraid they were hurt.
Once she finds her dogs, Jackie begins to look around at what used to be her home.
I actually had no wall left in my bedroom. I came out and I saw my living room as just in mass destruction. I was like, oh my God, I just started yelling, I need help.
3 blocks away, Doug Nance leaves the basement where he'd taken cover. He joins his brother Jeremiah, who's exhilarated from videotaping the twister.
I mean, I was, just beyond an adrenaline rush.
At first, he was pretty excited, and then when he got over there and realized, oh, I know who lives in that house, and man, I hope they're all right. And I think it changed.
Hey, where did it go? Did it go that way behind the house? It went right there. It went. No, where did it go? Behind the house? Houses are gone. Dude, I'll go get the car and come pick you up. There's 3 houses that are gone. We need to go see if anybody's in those.
While Jeremiah runs toward the wreckage, Doug turns back to get a car.
I was just hoping to find everybody all right, and I guess if anybody was injured or trapped, we wanted to get them out of there.
Jeremiah continues on foot as the tornado dissipates a mile away from town.
Oh my God! Come on, we gotta go see people in the house. Come on.
After Doug arrives with the car, the brothers drive through their battered neighborhood. 4:43 p.m. They stop near Jackie Seaman's house and get out of the car. That's when they hear a cry for help.
We heard somebody screaming, and we just went to where we heard it, and her house was awful.
There was a big tree limb in the way, and that was as far as we could go, and she was standing there in her window.
All of a sudden, I just see this young boy coming over, and he's asking me, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm okay, but I need to get my dog safe."
Anybody else? Come on. Yes. Is there anybody else in there with you? Do you need help? Yeah. Is there anybody else down here?
She was pretty upset. I mean, her house just moved back 15 feet, and it's a rough way to get woken up from a nap.
You all right? You all right? I'm okay.
Doug pulls Jackie and her dogs through the window into the yard. As he and Jackie look at her destroyed home, they realize the twister had dumped tons of debris into her basement.
If I'd have been watching the news, I would have gone to my basement.
If she had been in the basement, she probably wouldn't have made it.
While Jeremiah and Doug help the neighbors, their father Russell checks on his wife at the convenience store where she works. The winds had torn brick off the building, bent over gas pumps, and overturned a parked car. But no one inside was injured.
It got some pretty good damage. I got lucky there, too.
Not everyone is as lucky. Minutes later, 30 miles north, another thunderstorm in the line that produced the Woodward tornado is looming over the community of Stratford. The town's maintenance supervisor and storm spotter, Larry Runyon, hears a tornado warning on his work dispatch radio.
We started hearing other towns south and that having touchdowns and that. So we were kind of getting ready.
4:45 p.m. One of Larry's co-workers radios that a twister has touched down on the outskirts of town.
1 from 5E10-4, we have a tornado on the ground down here.
And is headed in Larry's direction.
It didn't really have a black look. It was real kind of a cloudy, gray, smoke-colored, but it had a distinct tail.
Larry calls his wife Kim at home to warn her.
Larry called and said, I'm heading into town and there's a storm coming and you need to head for the basement.
We were already picking up the wind ahead of it that was kind of shaking the truck that I was in.
Larry races home to check on Kim and finds she is safe.
I told her I got to leave, but be careful, the siren's still going off. I still didn't know who was hurt or how many.
He drives through town looking for people who need help. Then, he gets to the home of his 84-year-old mother and 53-year-old sister.
When I drove by, I looked, it was all open. It was nothing.
November 2005, Stratford, Iowa. Larry Runyon helps rescue crews pick through the rubble of his mother's house destroyed by an F3 tornado. At 5:15 p.m., workers pull Larry's 53-year-old sister Nancy from the debris-filled basement. She has a broken hip. They also rescue Larry's 47-year-old brother Ron. He'd been visiting for the day from Fargo, North Dakota.
Ron came out and he was just hysterical. And he said, I tried so hard to save Mom. I tried to save Nancy. And he said, I couldn't hold on to him.
Ron gave Larry a chilling account of what happened when the tornado hit.
He grabbed my sister and Mom was right behind him, and they got down the stairs and to the southwest corner of the house. He said as soon as it hit, just kind of sucked her away. He couldn't hang on to her.
Larry and the rescuers search for 20 minutes before they find his mother, Lucille. She's 15 feet away, buried under a pile of debris, and is badly injured.
We had to get chainsaws to remove this floor. And then at that time, we were able to pull her out and had a slight pulse. Paramedics did what they could for her, but she passed away.
In all, 12 tornadoes swept through Iowa on November 12, 2005, killing one person. For some, the November tornadoes serve as a reminder that a predictable calendar for Mother Nature does not exist.
We don't know where this weather's taking us anymore. You just have to be ready all the time.
I think you get a new respect for what the weather can do. I won't take for granted anymore when they say there's a tornado warning.
For those who escaped harm, the late-season tornadoes may not have instilled much fear. Doug and Russell Nance doubt that Jeremiah learned much from his brush with disaster.
Can't wait till next spring.
If he decides to do it again, maybe next time he's not going to be as lucky as he was this time.
Russell realizes how dangerously close the twister came to his house.
It just could have been over one more block, and that would have been my house.
If and when another tornado hits, he plans something different.
Yeah, I'd put a tripod out in the front yard and drag the kids to the basement. Better safe than sorry. I can always replace a camera. Can't get no more kids.
The Nance's neighbor, Jackie Seaman, thinks she could have been killed if she had gone into her basement. Is it typically safe to head to a basement during a tornado? The answer when Storm Stories returns. So is it safe to head to a basement during a tornado? Even though the Woodward tornado dumped debris into Jackie Seaman's basement, the answer is still yes. Although no place is 100% safe, an underground or in-home storm shelter is considered the safest place to be. A basement is the next best place to take cover. If there's no basement, retreat to an inner hallway or room and get under a sturdy piece of furniture. In any event, know where you're going to go. Every second counts. For Storm Stories, I'm meteorologist Jim Cantori. Your local forecast is next.
This is the worst storm in the history